All right. Oh, wait, hang on. It's not, hang on, I gotta stream again. All right. One more time. I'm so excited for it. Yes, I know. Zeke is very excited. Okay. No worries. It's an exciting panel. I get Zeke's excitement. We're all just as excited as he is. We're just not expressing it vocally. All right. Okay. So we are good to go, Jess.
Okay. All right. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining. I am Jessica Nelson. I was a participant with Warrior Scholar Project in 2017, and I went to the program at Princeton. I am a proud alum of the program. I'm excited to moderate today's panel. We have Kelly. Sorry, I'm going to change it really quickly to single speaker so I don't get distracted. So today we have Kelly Mumphrey with us, and yes, thank you. I'm going to have them introduce themselves, but we also have Ashley Knight and we have Charlinda Scales with us. So we're really excited to hear from them, learn about being entrepreneurs and veterans in this space. And we're really excited to just learn about getting out there, putting yourself out there, starting a business in a space where you see a need and succeeding in that space. First, I'd like to go to Kelly, if you'll introduce yourself and talk to us a little bit about where you're coming from and what you do.
Sure. Happy Monday, everyone. So I am Kelly Mumphrey. I'm the founder and CEO of MilkSpace LLC. And what that is a service solution for events that desire to accommodate women's breastfeeding needs. So my business provides a lactation space. Currently, I do have a pop-up tent for event planners to acquire for the events, but I am working on a mobile milk space where it's actually a converted trailer where event planners can use that service for their events, and moms can enter the trailer, pump their milk, store their breast milk, or breastfeed baby during their events. And so that is my business, but I also focus on social impact as it relates to breastfeeding disparities in Black women. And so right now I do not have a nonprofit, but I am working to form collaborations here locally in the DFW area to ensure that my services, the lactation spaces, can be provided in low-income communities by zip code. So that is like a true passion of mine. Yes, I'm an entrepreneur, but I definitely want to lead with a social impact to address breastfeeding disparities in low-income communities. But that is MilkSpace LLC in a nutshell, a lactation space for moms to be empowered to breastfeed and pump on her terms comfortably.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Next, Charlinda. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, excellent. If you'll just tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Yeah, well, thank you for the invitation. I am Charlinda Scales. I am a veteran. I live in Dayton, Ohio. My companies, I do have 3 companies, but people most know me from Mutt Sauce, which is an all-purpose tomato-based specialty sauce manufactured out of Dayton, Ohio. The recipe I got from my grandfather, Charlie Farrell, whose call sign was Mutt in Korean Vietnam. He made this all-purpose sauce in 1956. And taking a piece of paper, what everybody sees was built from the piece of paper that he left me before he passed away. So that's what we do. We do retail. We used to do events, but it's mainly e-commerce now. We partnered with people like QVC, Intuit QuickBooks. We just want to make sure that we can put Mutt Sauce in every household and bring people together.
Thank you so much, Charlinda. And we'll go to Ashley. If you'll talk to us a little bit about your organization and what inspires you as well, and a little bit about yourself as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, hello, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. I am Ashley Marie Knight, owner of Words Unite Bookstore, and I'm also known as Miss Positivity. So you got to stay motivated. It is Motivation Monday. And so today is the best day to catapult, greatness and positivity, and get motivated to launch into the week with the best foot forward. And so Words Unite Bookstore is a union of a collaboration platform for independent authors where we unite under the independent author bond. And so I am a best-selling author of 9 books, but with that, I learned that there was a lot of challenges of selling books on different platforms. And so I created my own platform. And so Words Unite Bookstore unites those independent authors on one platform selling books directly. Now, I am a bookseller and I love to sell it with great enthusiasm. And to introduce a product or your product in person brings so much power to your product. And so I love to do it in that way. So right now I'm actually currently in Arizona. I live in Killeen, Texas, but I just traveled to pop up the bookstore at Fort Huachuca. So this is a traveling bookstore. We go state to state, introducing our independent authors' books on as many platforms as we can. And so that is pretty much what the bookstore does. I am a U.S. Army veteran. I'm a mother of 3 girls, so I have 3 little divas. And I am just passionate about entrepreneurship in general. It is not an easy it's not an easy platform or opportunity or career path, but it is very rewarding if you actually lean on others, collaborate, and utilize the power of unity.
Thank y'all. You mentioned not being an easy path. I would say that none of y'all have taken an easy path from the military to parenting to starting your own businesses. I would say that none of that has been an easy path. And so I think that's really good that you spoke on that you're not taking the easy paths and you're not taking the road most traveled, but you're taking the road least traveled, and you're putting yourselves out there in many different ways to be a beacon in your communities. And I really admire that. One thing what inspired y'all to start your businesses? And maybe we'll start with you, Ashley, this time.
Well, definitely, like I stated before, I am also an author. So I'm a Black-owned, veteran-owned, woman-owned, author-owned bookstore. And so I understand what authors are going through as far as the challenges of publishing a book. Let's talk about that in general. The publishing world is very in depth, and you have to really, really dig deep into that. And so I understand publishing. I understand after you publish, what do you do with that product? I understand getting your book out there, and I understand the customer base of what some of our readers are actually looking for, and some of our families are looking for. And so I started this bookstore because most of us authors are losing large cuts from our sales on mainstream platforms. And I love the mainstream platforms because they help us to get a great start as far as we can publish our books on Amazon, we can publish our books on Barnes & Nobles and BookBaby and Ingram Sparks, but we lose about 65% when we sell through them. And so my platform gives 80% back to the independent author. And so this kind of gives not just the authors, but myself, it gave me a bigger range of sales. And so I started it to give myself a better career and profitability as an author. But as I was traveling, I could only reach one audience. But as I collaborated with other authors, somebody is able to leave that table with something for them. And that's what I love about the platform, because I get to bring everybody together. I get to represent many different diversities. And so I started because we had a problem. We had a problem of not gaining a large profit for and I saw
Oh no, we might have, can anyone else hear Ashley right now? Okay, I think we just lost her, but she'll probably reset in a second. But we will go on. Charlinda, would you like to go on and talk about what inspired you to start your business?
Sure. Well, Ashley made a great point about solving a problem. And I think that's the essence of entrepreneurship, is solving a problem. And my grandfather, being the person who made mud sauce, that was his mindset. He thought people were wasteful with condiments. And so he wanted to make something that he thought people would use all day long, or at least have the option to. Now, when it came to me, getting the recipe, I didn't have any instructions. So I had looked up free help on the internet. But there's a great book by Simon Sinek called Finding Your Why, and it's like tied to your purpose in life. So really, as you're going about entrepreneurship, it really is a journey of self-discovery. And my why is legacy. So I kept seeing this theme from the very beginning, is do this for your family, for your family legacy, for generational wealth, to make sure that people understand the hard work that your ancestors put in to make sure that your life was a little bit easier. So I lead with that why. And now I'm a new mom, and it's become more clear that legacy is important. He needs to know the values that our family carried throughout the years and put into the business, those core values from the military and serving others. So that was the common thread, and that is why I started, and that is what keeps me going all these years.
Excellent, thank you. Tenacity and letting what's come before you keep you going is really important. I think that's really powerful. So thank you for sharing that. Kelly?
Sure. So I think, I initially created MilkSpace because I started my breastfeeding journey while I was in the military, and I was stationed at Fort Worth, Joint Reserve Base, Fort Worth. And, I'm in a closet with a dustpan, an old refrigerator, some stuff rusted. I'm just in the closet with a microwave. I didn't feel like there was a space for me. Being that it was a military, things have changed and laws have been put in place, since then. But even outside of the workplace, for me, I was new to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we were looking for like a lot of free fun. We transitioned from Virginia, and we traveled to Dallas, and just a new family. I didn't have a home. It was quite rough. So we were always looking like for free fun. And our favorite things would do to go to the parks, go to public spaces where our kids just could be out in the open. But for me, during that breastfeeding time, I preferred, privacy. I had some latch issues with my baby. And so, I wanted some privacy. I wanted peace of mind. And I just wanted to share that moment with my baby. And so I just noticed like there aren't any spaces for me to just go pump, breastfeed my baby, or even store my breast milk while I'm away from home or even away from my workplace. And so I just saw that as a problem. For me, it was a problem. So some women have no qualms about pumping, breastfeeding in public, more power to you. But for me, I know that that's what I prefer. And so I was like, man, I must need to be the service solution. So I said, I'm going to create MilkSpace LLC. And, it started out in 2018. And it still hasn't got any traction until 2020, 2021 up until now. But something just stuck with me that I felt like I had a God-given vision. It was clear, the grand vision is still not as to scale right now. But for me, I can't sleep easy knowing that God has given me a vision. And I tell my little girls, you can do anything that you want to do in life. And so for me, it was like, well, Kelly, how can you tell your children you can do anything you want to do in life, as long as you're not hurting yourself and others in the process, right? If I'm telling them that, I need to practice that. And so that's what's just keeping me motivated, because I want my children to see, like, I was blessed with a vision. I'm going to follow through with the vision. And it is a roller coaster. Like, it is a roller coaster, but mommy is holding on tight for the ride. And so for me, it's just like, even at the lowest moments, like I said, I started in 2018. I really didn't get any traction, quite frankly, to 2021, third or fourth quarter. And so for me, it's just like, I got to see my vision through to the end. And like Charlinda was saying, my ancestors before me has had it like 10 times as worse as me. There's nothing short of like achieving a dream that my ancestors can be proud of. And so now, like with my girls, it's just like, you can be anything that you want to do. You know, you can be anything and do anything. So for me, it's just like, I keep that at the forefront. Yes, I am solving a problem. And I think more importantly, I don't want to lose sight of the social impact where I'm trying to address Black breastfeeding disparities. And so I had folks telling me early on, business first, but at my heart, you know, social impact is at my heart. And so I just want to make sure that I'm moving forward and creating a culture and a mission with MilkSpace LLC. Yes, I am a business. Yes, I am a for-profit, but I definitely want to weave social impact into it as well. And so at the end of the day, when I lay my head down, it's just like, no matter what has happened throughout the day, no matter what point I'm on the roller coaster ride, I got to see it through the end, not only for my children, but like Charlinda said, for my ancestors, because it is a God-given vision. At least that's my perspective. And I just wouldn't be able to sleep if I didn't follow through on the vision. So that's what motivates me. Yes, I am addressing a problem, but ultimately I got to live my life with a purpose. And I feel like what I'm doing is a purpose.
Thank y'all. I love how all the three of you all incorporated the past, the present, and looking to the future in your inspiration. And I think that's really important, intergenerational, as well as bringing in everything that you've experienced up until now, staying in the present, but also looking to inspire people, looking to grow, and looking to just, again, be that light in your communities and in the spaces that you walk through. And I think that's really amazing. So thank y'all. The next question that I'll ask is, how would you, I think we kind of get this from who y'all have presented yourselves as in this panel, but how would you define your company's mission and the culture, and how did you establish that culture? And I'll start with you this time, Kelly.
Sure. So it's just a one-woman show. It's just Kelly doing everything, trying to wear all the hats. And so for me, like, I'm creating the culture within. So as I stated before, like, yes, I am a business. Yes, I am addressing a problem as it relates to breastfeeding, but I do want to just highlight, you know, the disparities of Black women. And so I think it's very important as businesses that we don't forget corporate social responsibility, making an impact in the community, opposed to just making money. And so, yes, I am the one-woman show, but that is something that I try to voice and amplify when I am just speaking about MilkSpace LLC. And I guess in regards to culture also, I am a Black woman. And so, you know, in the military, it's quite stringent. You know, I was a master at arms, and we was in charge of good conduct, uniform, good order and conduct, straight and narrow. And so for me, even after the military, still entering into the government workforce, I felt like I had to be one way based on how I looked and how I presented myself. But with MilkSpace LLC, as I do expand and acquire a team, I want them to feel that I accept you as you are. I think society puts a lot of emphasis on how you wear your hair, what kind of makeup you have, or just in general appearance. I think it's totally separate from what you bring to the table as to your work ethic, you know, your product and service that you give out. And so for me, and it's something I work on daily in general in my appearance, you know, how do I want to be perceived? But I just want to be me. Simple as that. And so when I think of culture, I want folks who want to come to my team knowing that I accept them for them. And I appreciate diversity truly. And I want folks to feel comfortable when they're on my team. So like I said, now it's just me. But that when I think of culture, I think camaraderie and acceptance of diversity when I do build my team. But yeah.
Thank you. I love that. Ashley, we'll go to you next.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. Faith-filled, driven expectations is how we pretty much operate. I started this business with a partner, and through that transition of seeing how that would work, and then it transitioning to just a solo owner, you really realize what consistency and what putting forth real effort to a business is. And culturally, you got to stay consistent to even stay in the business and to stay in business in general. And you got to show that to our young people and our legacies. And I feel like that's the avenue that I pretty much project. I'm an executor, and I show what execution looks like. But I always tell people, and everybody who knows me, I stand on, I'm a King's kid. And I always say it like this. I'm like, I'm a King's kid, baby, and I got inheritance with my name on it. And I say it in that capacity because we have access. And the issue is we don't activate that access because we don't have the endurance to continue to move and push past the challenges. And you really got to have a stick and stay attitude to really change some things. And literacy in general has been a declining thing in our youth for decades, and if we're not researching, if we're not reading, if we're not getting in the rooms, our children are not going to have that access. And I feel like with Words Unite, we're giving our youth that access. Not only are we showing them books of individuals that look like them, and I'm talking about bilingual, I have Asian adventures, I have Black culture. I mean, we are presenting the cultural diversity perspective in books, giving them literacy, giving them career paths that they can see beyond the normal of a rapper or a skateboarder or a football player. Where are the engineers? Where are the electricians? Where are the plumbers? Those are big industries as well. And so I feel like you got to have that stick and stay faith-filled tenacity to be consistent. And you got to have a higher power connection to that for you to really understand how you're going to change and really impact the culture. And that's what we're all about.
Absolutely. Snaps to that. I think that's really incredible that you're bringing that and taking into account what's going on in our communities, specifically, especially Black communities, minority communities, where you don't have all of the resources sometimes, and you're bringing that into. I saw some of the books that you carry, and I think it's incredible the range that you have. I have some authors in my family who have struggled with some of the same things you've talked about with publishing and losing money from the big carriers. And I love what you're doing and how you're doing it. And so thank you for sharing that. And Charlinda, we can hear.
Yeah, all around. I love these comments. And one thing that we aim to do with Mutt Sauce is bring American families together. So we don't sell sauce, we sell family togetherness. And similar to branding, it's not so much what we say it is, it's what the customer says the company is. So we listen to them a lot, and we're responsive to what our customers are telling us. And one thing that I do love is that America is a melting pot. So when you say that you serve American families, that's any type of family you can think of. One thing that I have focused on the last couple of years, especially with the pandemic, is meeting people where they are. And that means you have to adapt. Where are people? You have teenagers and college students who are isolated. And that term adulting, they got a crash course in adulting, and they have to feed themselves. And we don't want that to be hard for them. You have the American mother who is working from home, some of them, and they're watching the kids, and maybe they're running businesses as the kids are running around the house. And how do meet them where they are in their life and make some part of their day that much easier because we're a part of it. And that is what I focus on as a business owner.
Thank you. That's great. I think I love that you're not selling sauce, but you're selling, bringing families together. And, I think that's really powerful. That you're meeting people where they are. I think with the pandemic, that's incredibly important to create longevity during the pandemic, because you have to now. It's hard, but the fact that you're doing it is what counts. And I think Camilla said it earlier. She's like, you got me sold. She's on your website buying stuff right now. I am too. I started looking at it and I was like, I'm going to tell all my friends here in law school, they're wild about sauces. So I'm going to share it. We'll put it on everything. I love that. But I think people are attracted to business and business owners who are doing that and making sure that they're there for their customers. That CSR, that corporate social responsibility, is really important. People want to support businesses that want to support them and are not just about the money. Everybody has to make a living, but the way that you do it is very important. And all three of you, I think, are going about it in great ways, excellent ways, and being really thoughtful about that. And that's really important to me. What has been the most fun, or what have you enjoyed the most about starting your own business? Charlinda, we could start with you.
Well, I tell everybody that after the first production, everything's been icing on the cake for about 8 years straight, because everything you see came from a piece of paper. And the way that it is blossomed, the people that we've been able to connect to, we've done some pretty cool stuff. Like if anyone has troops that are stationed overseas, I don't charge to ship them sauce. You just send me their APO address and we'll send it off. I love getting those pictures from the troops. They're like, oh my God, 4th of July is lit. So that's the kind of stuff that I love. We've been invited to weddings. We were invited to an Ethiopian wedding because one girl ran out of tomato paste and she was making a traditional meal for her soon-to-be in-laws, where she was hoping, but they actually tested to see, like, can she cook? So she said, I ran out of tomato paste, and so I just put mud sauce with it. And they're like, you're the best cook ever. She's like, you're coming to my wedding. And I did. Actually, I showed up. So I love that that's why we don't sell sauce. We sell togetherness, because people share memories. They're sitting down with their kids, like, oh, did you know that they love broccoli smothered in mud sauce? They wouldn't eat it before, but those are the things. And then impactful, the way that we're able to give back through our sales. We gave $5,000 worth of sauce over Thanksgiving to a food pantry that they feed people 24/7. And I wanted to make sure that we're not only taking in opportunities, but we're focusing that much harder on giving back, because that's where I think the true joy is in giving.
Thank you. I love that. Ashley, can we go to you next?
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with Charlinda. It's the giving aspect. Number one, my daughter just had her book signing the other day, and she published when she was 8. And my youngest author has been publishing since she was 6. And just seeing those young people come out there and showcase their work, I can't be doing anything better than this. Giving them product-based items to build revenue from, to grow savings account, grow college funds, whatever they want to do. That's the impact for me. And the number 2 would be the people that get pretty much saved and transformed by meeting some of our authors and meeting some of the items that the authors have created. Like, we literally have full on, what is it called? Like complete church services at some of my book signings, because like one lady, we have a book that's called An Evil Among Us, and the lady who wrote the book really had a spiritual encounter with evil. And this lady came to my bookstore crying because she was facing the same thing. And we don't realize the different things that people are combating. But because that author had the same kind of reality, we were able to break free the other lady who came to the store and thought she was alone and thought she was dealing with that alone and was being shamed and pretty much, you know, outcast because of her experience. I couldn't make those things up. I couldn't have even experienced those things if I wasn't on this platform. Those are not things that I seek after, but because I'm on this platform, I am surrounded by it and I'm able to transform lives. So I have real life stories. I have families who have 5 kids and all of them are screaming about a book, but the parent can only purchase one. And with our Books for a Cause program, we're able to give every single one of those kids a book, because I hate to see one, you got a basket of 5 kids. You can't have them wrestling over one book. It's, you know, it's gonna get torn up, or, you know, it's a book everybody should be able to have the opportunity to read, especially if they want to. That's not what these kids are looking for right now. They're always on their tablets. They're always on some kind of social media. And for them to get excited about a character in a book and everybody wants one, yes, we want the opportunity to be able to give that family of 5, each and every one of them, a book. And so that's been the most rewarding. Like I said, there's been challenges because starting the business, I had a business partner, then transitioning to solo. That was a heartfelt transformation for me. You know, it's like a breakup. And in business, you're going to have a lot of relationships that fall off. It's not going to be the same people standing with you at the end, at the beginning. And if you don't get ready for that, and if you don't prepare yourself and stay connected, those different things can really break you, and those things can really bring up challenges. And so I would say the lessons I've learned in starting a business, and then the people that we've impacted, are really what keep me going, and what I've been most impacted by from.
Thank you. Kelly?
I would say the most rewarding thing, it just goes back to my girls. I have an 8-year-old, well, excuse me, she just turned 9 2 weeks ago. So I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old, Zoe and Zyla. And so for me, like, they see mommy trying to make my vision a reality. And so just having them a part of that is something special. And just, you know, being a full-time entrepreneur right now, I'm soon to transition to 3rd shift, but that's another topic. But while I was a full-time entrepreneur, like, I had the opportunity to stay with them home and then be teacher mommy. And so I'm just grateful for that experience. I strongly believe, you know, everything happens for a reason. And so while I was a full-time entrepreneur, COVID was definitely in full effect. And so the girls were at home. I was able to, you know, focus on my business, but also dedicate my time to my girls. So I'm just thankful to be able to have that opportunity to filter my time, to manage my time accordingly, with my family included, you know. So I'm just thankful for that. And my oldest little girl, Zoe, when I went downtown to the library to, I think it was like a registration downtown to look up the name or what have you in the library that's downtown, my little girl was with me that day. And so she actually, you know, typed in, she had questions about, mommy, what are you doing? I'm like, wait, baby, I need to register my business. I'm checking to see if this name is in use. And so just talking about MilkSpace, like, they're on this journey with me. And so I think that's the most rewarding part, is my children. So they're going to remember, you know, mommy was, you know, up work, you know, late, and they're in the process. And so even now, I told my girls last weekend that you are going to be my first employees. We're going to do events on the weekends. Yes, mommy is going to pay you. And we've been having these discussions. So now they're trying to plan, you know, what are they going to buy with their money and everything. So I think that's my most rewarding aspect of entrepreneurship, is including my little girls and my husband along the way, because my husband actually came up with the name MilkSpace. At first it was Milk Wheels. And he said, what about MilkSpace? I'm like, he came up with the girls' names. He came up with my business name. So he's a great mind. And so I'm just thankful for the journey, you know, with the inclusiveness of my family. So I'm just thankful for that. It's been real rewarding.
Excellent. I'm glad that y'all have that family support, which is incredibly important to have something to keep pushing you. Because I'm sure there are times that you're like, why am I doing this? Why don't I just go get a job and work for somebody and not have to worry about keeping it going? But I think that that's really important to have that strong support network behind you, whether it's family, friends, chosen family. And that's great. And that's beautiful. We want to see it for those who are thinking about going into entrepreneurship too. What challenges have y'all faced as entrepreneurs? Something can be one, it can be a big one, it can be a couple of small ones, but what have you thought about as being a real challenge? And we'll start with Charlinda this time.
I don't even know where to start. It's like, this is what I'm gonna try to be very succinct on, but I would say financial literacy was the biggest challenge, because when I first started out, I had a lot of heart and ambition, but very little education when it came to entrepreneurship. I was flying by the seat of my pants. Sometimes I still feel like I am, but if I were to start Mutt Sauce over again, I could have done it for 3/4, probably half of the money that I spent when I started. And that comes from knowing how to make money. You have your cost of goods sold, which is how much it costs you to make that product or deliver that service. And then you have the cost that you're giving to your customer to pay for it. This profit margin, your financial literacy will show how big this margin is. Because if you don't have a good financial literacy, it's like this. You don't have a lot of margins because you don't know how to bring down your costs. You don't know how to save money during a negotiation with a food broker, a warehouse person, a distributor. And knowing that took years. It took years of trial by fire. And you know, the one thing that I did enjoy is one of the mentorship pieces that I got was from Daymond John, who's from Shark Tank. But I met him through a contest with Bob Evans, and they were looking for veteran entrepreneurs. Now, he has this way of mentoring people where they are in their life, which I appreciated. And he said, you grew up on a farm with your grandparents, got that, but you spent a lot of your childhood living with your mom in housing, like you were considered by most people as poor. What happens is you get a grant or some money and you just go ham with it. Like you're buying stuff. He's seen entrepreneurs blow through money. And he said from his experience, he got his first $1 million and it was gone like that. He said, I can tell you how to blow $1 million. And I don't want that to be you. So you have to look at how you're going to make a return on investment from what you have. And the other thing is knowing how much it costs you to run that business. So he described as the operational cost, the cost to pay his mom back, who gave him equity from her house to start the business. There's 4 founders of FUBU, so they all had to draw a salary. They had to do $2 million in sales to make sure that they got like a $30,000 salary to replace his job at Red Lobster. That's the level of sales that you need to be doing to live that level of life. And people don't realize that. They don't realize how much you have to make in order to make it. And we're not standing next to private jets and Bugattis the first couple of years, guys. It's not, that ain't real. So.
I love that. I saw the article on the veteran website about Daymond John giving you that advice, and I think that's amazing. So definitely a person who has been at the start of a lot of businesses. So that's a great person to receive that advice from. And it's incredible that he reached out to you, and also that it speaks to other veterans, because I think financial literacy is incredibly, incredibly important, and something that people, especially a lot of vet entrepreneurs, don't have, especially enlisted, coming from different backgrounds, and not really instilling that in people in service, especially. So that's a really incredible lesson. Thank you for that. Kelly, something that's been a real challenge for you in entrepreneurship.
Sure. So two things. I would say, I think what I'm providing as a service, some folks that are my target market or customer segments, B2B, specifically events, they're not understanding the need. And so for me, it was like, oh my goodness, no one gets it. And so I just had to figure out a way for them to get it. And so it just required, more research on my end in the way I'm projecting my service and the need, because it is such a, I guess, misunderstood need. So I just had to bring to light, like, hey, this is the issue. I really had to dig deep and pull out legislation locally here in Texas. We have legislation that states it's just been passed 2019. Like it's new. Maybe businesses are not really fully aware of it. So just bringing into legislation how this could impact the customer. Just wanting to accommodate everyone who's attending their events. And so initially, my ideal customers would flat out tell me, no, we're not interested. Sorry, we can't support this. And so for me, it was just understanding that no, that's just a soft introduction. So I just had to figure out how to wiggle my way back in there and just present the need a little bit better. In my presentation. So sometimes, whoever's watching this webinar, I just want to encourage you, if you hear someone say no, or just kind of standoffish about what you're doing, sometimes it's a punch to the throat, but just process it, analyze it and how you can evaluate their no and how you can better present yourself next time. Because it's not going to be yes. I've had more no's, I would say 90% of no's than a yes. And so I just want to encourage folks who are watching, don't let that get you down. Just process that and move forward. And I would say the number one, that's like the number 2 challenge, but the number 1 challenge is mental health. And so for me, making sure that I am well mentally, that has an impact on how I operate my business. Again, I am a one-woman show. I have a family. My first priority is my family. In a sense, it is, but I know I have this vision here. And so for me, it's just making sure that I'm mentally and physically whole so I can be my best self in my business and my family. And so daily, that is something that, even till today, that I have to work at and remind myself to give myself grace, because every day is not a good day. And so that's just something that's been a definite a big challenge, with COVID here, events not happening, no one's having events. And so that was like, oh my goodness, what I'm going to do. But I would say that's the biggest challenge, is just making sure that I am well, mentally and physically, being able to give myself to my business and my family. So I just want folks to know it's okay. Just give yourself grace.
Thank you. Yes, give yourself grace. Absolutely. Ashley?
Yes. I definitely agree with Charlinda and Kelly, because I think we can all talk about the financial aspect of it. That would be primarily the biggest challenge. So from what Charlinda said, I would say switching your brain from personal financial operations to business financial operations. You cannot intermingle the two, meaning I can't operate like I operated as Ashley Marie with my money with how I operate Words Unite Bookstore with my money. I had to elevate that standard. I had to be more disciplined, and it takes a lot of discipline in the financial profitability aspect of business. And so that was the biggest challenge. Was one, I knew number one, I had to have an accountant starting off with my business. I had already had 3 other businesses before this one. So if I was going to go into Words Unite, which I felt like was my legacy builder, I felt like this was going to be my end all. Like, this is the thing I'm going to do for the rest of my time. And I started with an accountant, and that was the number one thing she transitioned and conditioned me for. I had to change my habits personally with my spending and how I thought of money for business, because until I changed my mind of how I thought of money and how I thought of profit, and that giving heart of mine doesn't make a lot of money. So you have to understand that you could give profitably too. There's the way of giving and it being a profitable position. And so I would say, number one, that you have to have a good conditioned mind for finances. And then what Kelly was talking about as far as having a peace of mind and really being in a healthy state. You really got to be in a healthy state of mind to stay consistent and to want to be there, to want to do it. Even if it's something that you loved when you started, there's days that you got to really talk yourself out the door. And so showing up was my intention for my business. And so I would say the challenge of making myself show up and making myself show up intentionally was the biggest transformation for me to be successful in my business, especially since I'm a traveling bookstore. I just had to drive 13 hours alone, and I can do it. I love traveling military wise. It's like a convoy for me, but I did it 13 hours. I drove the whole way, myself, and I've done many of my trips. Last year, my longest trip was North Carolina, Las Vegas. I think it was like 24 hours, and I'm driving all of those hours. And so if you don't have the strength or the tenacity or the will to do those things, you got to change your business model. And I designed my business model excited to travel, but when you start rolling those miles out, are you going to consistently do that? And that was the reality check for me. And so I made a system that really works for me to continue to travel. And so those were the different challenges of you starting your business a certain way and then realizing the depth of how that's going to be for the future.
Putting those miles into your business, I love it. That was some great advice, and really talking out those challenges, I think, and facing them head on, and sometimes giving yourself grace and patience to be like, yes, I need to confront this, but I am also going to take care of me while I do this is incredibly important for young entrepreneurs, for future entrepreneurs, and people as they're coming up as well. So thank y'all. We have a question from the audience. So I'm going to ask that one now. It's from Amina. I am in a path towards college with the help of Warrior Scholars. What resources or opportunities do you think an entrepreneur should take advantage of while at an elite university? And Ashley, we'll start off with you if you don't mind.
Definitely look at every group, any kind of collaboration group, networking group, groups that come together and like pretty much brainstorm. I call them masterminds. It's been a while since I've been in college, but I know we had a lot of networking and brainstorming groups like that. But in your community, there's entrepreneurship group, there's small business groups, depending on where you live and where you're at. If you're trying to leverage jumping into entrepreneurship, definitely attach to the businesses that are in the same industry as you are in is how I would start. I have my first business was a daycare business. I didn't open my daycare business without working at a daycare first. I didn't open up my bookstore before meeting authors. I met a lot of authors. I toured with an amazing best-selling author, Lila Holly of Camouflage Sisters. I toured with her for 2 years before I branched out into Words United Bookstore, so I could learn the ins and outs of traveling and partnering with AFES and the military exchanges and learning how to package books. Well, the military taught me how to build a convoy and package a vehicle and ship and all of that. But I mean, you have to learn the trade first. And that would be my biggest suggestion is to learn the trade. So get in the rooms of the same industry that you're in.
Thank you. Yes, utilize your resources around you. That's incredibly important for starting out, something that I've done, because exactly like you said, I am not financially literate. I'm not literate with numbers. There's a reason I'm in law school, trying to work with words. Numbers terrify me. So if I get into a for-profit business, that is the first step I'll take, is getting an accountant. So that's some great advice. Charlinda?
Yeah, she really hit the nail on the head. You have to seek out ways of being a student. I know you're in college, but being a student of entrepreneurship, and sometimes that is job shadowing an entrepreneur. I've had DoD Skill Bridge interns. So DoD Skill Bridge, you can sign up your company to be a participant, or you can participate as a transitioning veteran to job shadow someone for 6 months. And I like that because I had a personalist who wanted to own a sweet tea company. I think I must have terrified her, because after the 6 months, she was like, this was an amazing experience, ma'am. I'm not going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to do something else. But I wanted her to see the real deal, that it's not this glamorous thing that people see on social media. I wanted her to see that firsthand. The other thing is, you can join organizations like, you can go talk to a SCORE mentor, score.org, talk to a SCORE mentor and walk them through your idea, and they'll show you the checklist that it will take for you to actually get it done, for you to realize that service or product that you've been dreaming about. If you have a military background or you're a military spouse, you can go to Bunker Labs. If you are a minority, you can go to your local Minority Business Assistance Center, it's MBAC. And all these organizations can talk you through your idea before you hit go. Because let me tell you something, what you think is going to happen with your business and what actually happens are two different things. I was just doing my thing. I decided on a whim to apply for Shark Tank. The next thing I know, I'm headed to Hollywood and things are moving 1,000 miles an hour. So I wanted to make 2 cases, like 12 bottles for friends and family. Now look at us. So it can get out of hand. So I want you to take as much time as humanly possible to study. And as I call it, sharpen the axe. My favorite quote from Abraham Lincoln: if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend 4 hours sharpening my axe. And I want you to spend that time in college sharpening the axe so that your leap off the cliff will not be so painful.
Thank you. Kelly?
I think Charlinda and Ashley just said it all. So just thinking about like my college experience, I am so similar to Jessica. Like, I'm a words girl. I love writing. I love speaking, but the numbers aspect, I swear when it comes to numbers and formulas, it's like they're moving in my brain, just to write it down. And so I wish since high school through college that I took courses that I really just shied away from. So any accounting courses or other courses that is not on your degree plan, I would still take them, be proficient in those things, do not shy away from them. So now it's like I'm backtracking, trying to be competent and trying to learn the formulas as it relates to business and everything. But I just want to encourage you, like, if you don't have to take it, still take it so you can be knowledgeable and apply it to your business as you move forward. And something else that sticks out is that, most universities and colleges, they do have entrepreneurship centers. Get in touch with them, find out what resources they have available and use them. And then also within your community where you're attending school, or even your hometown, if you're going to school out of state, know who your local representatives are. Let them know, what you're trying to do. So one thing that has happened that I've experienced, that I've been in a lot of competitions that requires voting, right? So if you're not interested in increasing your student loans or increasing your debt to income ratio, grants, pitch competitions, like that's the way to go. That's how I funded my business. But oftentimes I participated in voting competitions where, to get to the next phase, I have to pass this voting aspect. I've never been the popular girl. I've always been an introvert kind of. And so if you establish those relationships within your community, with your university, I would say that could help you when you have voting competitions that requires votes, because you have a strategy, a voting strategy, like, hey, I'm participating in this competition to support that business idea I told you about. Can we rally a group of folks to have a roster of everyone so I can contact them? Because sometimes that is like a deciding factor to get to the next phase in the competition is the voting. So I would just encourage you, know who your local representatives are, in your hometown, as well as your school if you're going out of state. And even so much so, like Charlinda said, whatever those specific business industries you are in, network with them. Don't shy away, because they may be offering a product or a service similar to yours, but they sure do have insight that you can benefit from. And in that sharing aspect, I know sometimes it's like kind of awkward, like to have a non-disclosure agreement. But I've experienced that where I've shared something and someone else took, what I was planning to do. But legally, you want to protect your intellectual property, because at that time, it's not a reality. But if you have that idea, that concept, you want to protect that early on when you're speaking to others who are within your industry. Or even representatives. You think you can trust certain folks, but you just want to protect your baby. So just think about including that, early on in your conversations about your ideas.
Thank you so much for that. And do we have any final questions in the chat or in the Q&A? If not, I want to thank so much Kelly, Charlinda, and Ashley for sharing your knowledge, your experience. It's incredibly helpful. If you want to drop anything into the chat for the audience, if not, I'm going to turn it over to Lisa Stein. So thank y'all so much. And thank you, participants, for coming. This has been a great panel.
Thank you.
I could not agree more, Jessica. I just, as an avid reader, a past breastfeeding mother, and a person that's waiting for her mud sauce in the mail, I was ridiculously excited to see this group join us today. And as I saw in the chat, how we all learned from each other. That was just amazing. So again, I want to say thank you. And for anybody that is interested in understanding a little bit more about Warrior Scholar, we are always here to have those conversations with you. We are an organization that does academic boot camps to get people to the place where they feel comfortable knowing that higher education is where they belong. Jessica can tell us that. Higher education is where they belong. Building those skills, building those networks, building any of those kind of opportunities to see themselves in higher education. And one of the things is, we're on this group, and I cannot help but mention that we have 4 universities this summer that we are doing 2-week sessions that are humanities and business. And those business courses are all entrepreneur based. We have a 2-week session at Notre Dame, a 2-week session at Yale, a 2-week session at Syracuse, and a 2-week session at University of Southern California. So if anybody's interested in being part of those, do not hesitate to get a hold of us at warriorscholar.org. All of our team members are on there, and there's also an opportunity for you to fill out a little interest form, and we would love to visit with you about all that Warrior Scholar has to offer. Again, thank you, Kelly, Charlinda, and Ashley. It was an amazing hour.